Chapter 11. We collided with the force of two supernovas merging. Her personal shield and mine crackled for only a moment, then, her body fitting against mine as if we were two halves of the same ancient artifact. The warmth from her embrace seeped through the metal and fiber of my suit, heating my human core beneath. My arms are telling me that she is real and here with me at last. Jade held me tight, her head nestled against the crook of my neck. "I thought I would never see you again," she whispered. Her breath was hot against my skin. "Things were so hectic after the rescue, I never got the chance to properly thank you." She pulled back, hands still clasped behind my back, and looked up at me with her glowing blue goggles. Her lips turned up in a shy smile. "You risked everything to save me. You even saved me from both my family and even the other Star Knights. You have no idea how much that meant to me." "Jade," I started, my voice a low rumble as I kept her close, "you don't owe me." My mind racing, she was acting nothing like when she was talking to Helen. It was like a switch had been flipped and now she was the girl from my dreams. And I desperately hoped this was real. This started one of the happiest times in my life that I can remember, of course that covers only about a year and a half, most of which was physical training, powers training, classroom training, some hypno or VR training, and some painful surgeries thrown in to mix things up. Jade was still cold around Helen, but with me she was smart, funny and really seemed to like me. Now is as good of a time as any to tell you what Bookworm had been up to this whole time while I was running around with Helen. So here's what I learned from Helen, Jade and her people, as well as the stuff I pulled down from the local infonet. Some I knew before, but this is the first time I could put together what Bookworm had been up to. Starting off, a little background just in case you don't know this. Normally people in the Empire categorized other humans into two categories, citizens and Gaks. Citizens are people that are native to the solar system they are currently in. This means their loyalties are assumed to be towards their home system. Gak is short for galactic citizens, meaning they are from some other solar system in the Empire and either are newly arrived and or don't plan on settling on that planet. Many of the local heads of the 6 big megacorps are Gaks, and whenever there is a purge of the local government, Star Knights often turn to one of the corp leaders to help with the transition, since they are Gaks and are more trustworthy at least in the short term. These corpos also usually receive some compensation from the Star Knights for doing this. Most planets are allowed to form any kind of government they want, and they are in charge of all local governance, law enforcement, utilities and that sort of stuff. They do have several obligations to the wider empire. The big thing is the running and maintenance of the solar system's jump beacon. They also have to maintain a group of Imperial eyes, pay a certain amount of taxes, and they have to let the grammar Nazis, a subgroup of the eyes, make sure the local schools are teaching their people how to communicate in common. Really, most governments have a lot of freedom to organize however they want, unless a Star Knight deems the government to be excessively evil. What constitutes excessive evil is up to the individual knight, but mostly it covers stuff like slavery, human sacrifice, cannibalism, worker exploitation, or the big one, open rebellion. Excessive evil will trigger a knight to start a purge. Members of government and the corporations can, if they survive, appeal to the wider Imperium if they think the purge was unwarranted. But this rarely works, as the Star Knights at large always defer to the Knight on the ground, and any council of Star Knights have to convince the Knight on the ground to change, not the other way around. So Bookworm was within his rights to start the purge, but the King's Shield of the Knights means that he should have just been removed until it could be determined that he was guilty of violating the provisions of his Knight's Shield. Since there aren't enough Star Knights to go around, a lot of the boring investigative work falls to the third branch of our Empire's government, the Imperial Eyes, the Empire's police, judicial and investigation services. Think half cop and half spy, half judge, half interplanetary lawyer. If you think that is too many halves, you haven't met many eyes. The eyes also help locals investigate crimes and keep tabs on planets for the Star Knights, and one of their more secret tasks is to monitor potential Star Knight recruits to make sure they have the right personality. Lastly, most Star Knight missions start because some eye decides that some issue requires the Star Knight's attention. This is mostly a last resort because most knights are the burn down the whole house to kill a spider inside kind of people. Now onto the current situation. Turns out this planet for some reason had become the Empire's dumping ground for high-rank screw-ups, people with questionable loyalties, rich playboys or incompetence, like Jade, who I knew was awesome but her company thought of as a liability. This is apparently because the Megacorps found out something big was going down here on this planet, and wanted both a foothold if the rebels won or people that could be disavowed easily and could be thrown under the ground car for plausible deniability if the rebels lost. To compound Bookworm's problems, the local eyes had suffered a large-scale attack as well. Every one of the eyes except for a pair of junior incompetents had been recalled to the eye's planetary headquarters for some important meeting, when from what we could piece together someone set off the building's self-destruct, killing everyone there. This meant that Bookworm had no one he could trust in his new government. His first couple of days were spent trying to unlock the backup eye's data vault, only to find that it had scrubbed itself after the last two surviving members of the eyes screwed up the unlocking process. I'm amazed he didn't kill them. This meant Bookworm then had to try and hunt down the ministers from the old government, but they had all gone to ground, afraid that they would be purged for being part of the old government. So in the end, he was forced to use the head of drug tech, a playboy druggie named Reiser, as his nominal transitional governor, since Reiser was just, well, a druggie, not a suspected rebel. I know, the head of drug tech is a druggie, what a stereotype. Well, at least his company henchmen knew how to detox him, and they also pumped him full of mind-enhancing drugs, so he was semi-functional. This was Bookworm's best choice, since 3 of the others were suspected rebels. This included Jade, and the 4th was currently in jail for a series of murders, and the last was in a regeneration coma after surviving a hover car bomb. Raptor Jesus saves and takes half damage. This definitely applies to his son from the Velociraptor vehicle company that day. This meant that while me and Helen were resting in the forest, Bookworm was grappling with the bureaucratic nightmare of a government transition, and the only action he took against us was to declare us both outlaws and put a sizable bounty on our heads. I was offended by the size of the bounty, only 1 giga credit for both of us together. That's like my salary for 1 year. You couldn't even buy your own planet for that much, just a big nice island on a more developed planet. The relatively small size of the bounty explained why none of Jade's lackeys decided to try their luck on collecting it. He also claimed that I was depowered because of my inhibitor chip. The reason that Bookworm didn't just declare himself king is that Star Knights as a rule don't run governments. We are above the dirty job of politics, because Star Knights are heroes. Politicians have to make compromises and choose the lesser of 2 evils, and heroes don't make compromises with evil. That is both the Star Knights' official stance and private stance as well, although we usually throw in some things about letting people govern themselves along with freedom of movement. Of course, we are the highest authority and the only ones in the Empire that could challenge us in terms of raw fighting power are the Star Knights, but they are too busy playing Space Explorer and protecting us from hypothetical aliens to be bothered. So anyway, after a week of grabbing random people and declaring that they were now ministers of such and such, Bookworm could finally turn his attention to his main goal, which was his hunt for Helen, who he believed was one of the rebel leaders, and her gullible pawn, me. This is when we had our little trip to Count Jaren Mufasa estate, which, if not for what happened next, could have been bad for the good guys. Me and Jade are chilling on her couch in her room having a private planning session, which sadly contained too much planning for my liking. We had just agreed that Jade's company could fabricate a medical unit that would allow for the replacement of my inhibitor chip with a close enough replacement so I could use my implants again. This would require me to hand over certain classified knowledge to Jade, but I really wanted to be able to fly my mech properly again. Also, we were in the process of working on a plan for the new beacon. The sticking point was the resonance monocrystal that was required to make the beacon work. Large enough monocrystals, unfortunately, are not something you could buy at your local Bilots megastore. I trust you, I say, looking Jade in the eye, as we talk about the operation to swap the chip in my head. Shush, she cut me off with a gentle press of her finger to my lips, the faint hum of her energy signature buzzing against my skin. Listen, Ice Wolf, there's something you need to know about my family and I before you decide. I stiffened at her tone, a sense of foreboding creeping up my spine. I released her slightly, giving us space to face each other fully. Her gaze was intense, determined, and it struck me how this woman, often seen as a delicate heir to a mining empire, held the fierceness of a warrior. My family, they thought I had defected to the Chaos Legion, she confessed, her words slicing through the silence like a laser scalpel. By family, Jade meant her extended family, who were the executives of the Stone Blood megacorporation. Both of her parents were presumed dead and she had no siblings. My relatives sent me to this planet hoping I would contact the rebels, hoping I could secure weapon sales and the wider interests of Stone Blood mining tech. Something big is happening in the wider empire. The Chaos Legion is stronger than ever and my family wants to have a foothold on both sides. Your family wants to arm our enemies? My voice was a growl now, disbelief etching each word. Those drones that attacked our ship? I ask. Made here, Jade admitted. They were mining drones for the new orbital mining project fitted with nukes. I'm not sure where the bombs came from, but well, we fabbed those drones here. They were officially sold to the government, but we lost track of them after their sale. We have sold a lot of specialized equipment to various nobles over the years. This facility can produce almost any kind of machine that it needs to, anything except very specialized mana-based tech. But nukes, drones, mecha, you name it, we can either build it or can build the machines needed to make it. Jade looks down guiltily. My family and corporation will sell almost anything to anyone if they have the credits, Jade whispers. But I have no intention of helping the Chaos faction or selling things to them, Jade admitted, her chin lifted defiantly. They misjudged me. I have no interest in furthering their legacy of war profiteering or arming monsters. My only goal is to help you, Ice Wolf, to rebuild the beacon, so we can call the other Star Knights to our aid. Her revelation hit me like a shockwave. I rocked back, floored not only by the admission but the dark prospects this brought up, processing the implications. My mind whirred, analyzing the data, the potential alliances and betrayals that spun out from her words like a star chart. A horrid thought snuck in. Had I chosen the wrong side when I rescued Helen? Your assistance is invaluable, Jade. My voice steadied as my systems reached equilibrium. I've seen your resilience, your ingenuity. You're carving a path light years away from what they wanted for you. Taking her hand, I continue. You are your own person and I will support you so you can make your own choices now and in the future. She nodded, a fierce gleam in her eye. I'm done being a pawn in their corporate games. It's time I played for my own side, for our side. Good, I said with a nod, feeling the corners of my mouth twitch into a smile. Because it looks like we're going to need all the help we can get. And Jade, I have to say, I admire that hero spirit of yours. Fits you better than any high society tiara or cold corporate manager ever could. A genuine laugh escaped her, but suddenly the door buzzed, followed by pounding. What now? Jade says, scrambling up and fixing her hair before answering the door. Helen bursts in excitedly, waving. Turn on the newsfeed, she says out of breath. What's going on? Jade says, flipping on the screen. House nobles rebel against tyrant Star Knight, scrolls across the bottom of the screen. On the feed, a woman at a desk says, for those just tuning in, 3 nobles and their houses have declared open hostilities against the Star Knight bookworm after he brutally murdered King Werner 2 weeks ago. The lady on the screen continues. The nobles have fortified the fortress home estate of House Lockley with their personal forces, and as you know, it has a state-of-the-art force field dome. Could this be the end of Bookworm's reign of terror? Stay tuned as I go over the known might of these noble houses. This is our chance, Helen says, turning bright happy eyes on us full of hope. Raptor Jesus have mercy on those poor fools, is all I can say in response.